The final topic is about how schools can create better learning environments.
Looking now to the future, what advice would you give to schools and to teachers about how they can create better learning environments for children on the autism spectrum?
Working with parents and keeping a close dialogue, because it's parents who have been with the children for months. Lots of communication, taking on parents' concerns if they have any. A lot of things with autism, they're hidden, so just because you can't see it doesn't mean that it's not there. A lot of patience and a lot of understanding, more awareness than normal. If you've got a child that has perhaps high sensitivities, my son has high sensory sensitivities to noise, in particular singing, crying, and having had 6 months at home in a bit of a protective bubble and then going back into school. This is difficult for him, and awareness amongst staff, and increased awareness in particular, that a child that had sensory sensitivities to something before, that those sensory sensitivities might be more so.
In school now, she has a sensory box that we've set up and she's taken in. It's just got little squishy things. It's got some like magic sand in. And she has access to that when she needs it. And it's literally a 5-minute, my brain is a mess. I need to just squish something, squeeze something, play with it, and then I will come back and I'll be fine. And it's teachers being aware that that's a necessity. She needs that release almost. I think her brain just gets so crammed when she's in school. She's trying to learn, she's trying to listen, she's trying to do the work. There's that pressure of it having to be right, has to be perfect. Then there's the worry that other people aren't doing what they're told and I'm distracted. There's a noise outside and I'm distracted. There's people moving around and I'm distracted. I don't think I realised quite how much was going on up there. But yet the moment you put headphones on her, she's fine. So her teacher now is letting her listen to audiobooks in class. So she does the work, headphones on, listens to the input, headphones on, blocks everything else out and gets on with her work.
I'm a SENCO of Key Stage 3, so that's years 7, 8 and 9. Those pupils found it not as stressful. My colleague, who was the SENCO for Key Stage 4, so those GCSE years, those children were having levels of high anxiety because they were worrying about their exams. But they want a safe environment in which to learn, which is without that, all those sensory input and the stresses that we tend to put on them, just to try and remove all those stresses. Don't overload them with the stress. I think if we can try and remove that, or have a safe space or something where they can go, I think that's the biggest thing we've learnt.
Any pupil that's having difficulties, it's difficult for a teacher to do with the pressures they've got. But I think when they see behaviour that they think is negative or they don't understand it, just step back for a second and don't react. I think with this, the harsh sanctions they have, the teachers are under pressure to react and to get discipline. If you react immediately to what you see as wrongdoing, instead of just stepping back and saying, hang on a minute, is there an issue behind this?
They've tended to see it as an attendance issue, not an additional needs and emotional mental well-being issue, and they approached it that way right from the beginning. So as right from when we had her not attending school, we were getting letters from the head teacher to say, I've referred you to child missing in education, your child should be in school. And that has improved a bit over time, that their understanding's improved a bit over time and the relationship with the schools improved a bit over time. Really, our plea would be for a bit more flexibility, really, of schools acknowledging that if you're trying to get a child gradually back into school, on the days that they're not in school, they're still the school's responsibility. Their education is still their responsibility, and we don't feel that they feel that.
And what I've sort of done and what I've encouraged other parents to do is to communicate what you've learned about your child during lockdown. So I have sent education passports, one-page profiles to people and said, fill these in and communicate it. And actually, it might not work, but there'll be lots of teachers that will really welcome that information. And if you've learned, as I've done, that our youngest definitely learns better with frequent movement breaks. He'll get up, have a walk back into, he's twirling his blue tack, and then he comes back and he's refocused.
This concept of control is really important. a recognition that teachers are expecting the child to give up all control within the space of a day, basically. The control over being able to do things at their own pace and be able to incorporate the self-help strategies, which I think was a real benefit at home. He could do the work and incorporate the time on the computer or the quiet time or getting up and going for a walk.
The amount of children I work with, and they're rocking on the chair while you're working with them, and the teachers are telling them off, and you've got to sit still, you've got to sit on your chair. I let them rock. If they need to rock on that chair while they're reading to me, it doesn't affect me in any way whatsoever. I let them rock on the chair. I have a whole little box on my desk of things you can play with and squish. So if they need to fiddle with something while they're reading a book to me, that's fine. You know, if I need to take them out to run around for 2 minutes, that's fine, if that's what they need. So many teachers are reluctant almost to embrace that.
Schools are still taught to work and look for the stereotypical autistic child, and they're still looking for the flapper and the badly behaved child, the disruptive child, and that's where their resources are focused upon. And therefore I think there's a big gap in understanding of your masking child, or the child that thinks behaviour is really, really important, so therefore goes unnoticed. I'm really sick of hearing, well, they're achieving, so there's not a problem. Schools are focused on grades, and if they're getting the grades, there's not a problem there.
There's a lot more flexibility in the education system at the moment. Before, where we've tried to battle to get adjustments, and it's sometimes been really hard. Because of COVID, we've actually seen that we can actually do a lot of things flexibly. There's been so many changes that everybody's made, and it would be really good if we could see those changes, that willingness to make changes, that willingness to do things differently. That would be really good if that stayed.